The alien ship appeared without warning. It hovered above Earth's atmosphere like a dark star, silent, cold, and massive. At first, people panicked. News channels screamed headlines. Unknown ship above the Pacific. Military radars were jammed. No one could make contact. It didn't attack. It didn't move. It just watched. General Marcus Reed stood in the war room, eyes fixed on the screen showing the object. His hand gripped a cold cup of coffee. What do they want? He whispered. No one answered. 4 hours later, a single signal came through. Not a voice, just a soft pulse of light. The alien diplomat had spoken. She called herself Solari. She was tall, silver-skinned, and wore robes that shimmered like stars. She arrived peacefully, transported down to Earth in a glowing orb. Her first words were strange. "You fear war," she said to the humans gathered in the UN hall, "but not for yourselves. You fear what war will do to others." The crowd was silent. President Alina Carter narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean?" Solari's violet eyes blinked slowly. "Your kind holds back. You do not use your full power. Not because you are weak, but because you fear what you will become. You fear what will happen to those who fight you," Reed scoffed. "That's nonsense." But deep down, he remembered the history books. Hiroshima, Dresden, the Mars Rebellion of 2158. When humans did go to war, they didn't just win, they erased their enemies. 3 days later, a fleet of unknown alien ships entered the solar system. This was not Solari's people. These were invaders. The diplomatic team scrambled. Solari begged Earth to respond with force. "They have destroyed 3 other species already," she said. "Do not wait." But the United Earth Council hesitated. "We don't know their intent," they said. "We must try peace." By the time the Council sent a message, it was too late. The alien fleet fired on Earth's orbital colonies. One exploded live on Earth's global stream. Millions died. That night, General Reed called Solari to the command base. "You were right," he told her. She didn't smile. "You still do not understand." The next day, Earth declared war. But this was not just any war. Humanity had changed since the old days. They had learned to control themselves, to build peace, to avoid using the terrifying weapons they still held in deep storage. Now, they were being forced to remember. Reed stood in the underground vault beneath the Rockies, staring at weapons that hadn't seen sunlight in decades. "If we use these," he said, "we don't just end them, we end everything." Solari stood beside him. "And still, you will only fight because they left you no choice. That is why I trust your kind." "Trust? You as to what?" Reed asked. "To fight with sorrow in your hearts." The war had started. Earth's skies were no longer blue, they were filled with smoke, glowing wreckage, and defense drones. The alien fleet moved quickly, attacking key satellites and spaceports. Humanity had answered, but not with full strength. Not yet. Solari stood alone on the roof of Earth's Defense HQ. Her silver robes blew in the cold wind. She watched as a human fighter jet screamed overhead. General Reed approached her from behind. "We're holding them for now," he said. Solari turned, her face unreadable. "You are not winning. You are buying time." Reed frowned. "You said they destroyed 3 other species. Why didn't anyone stop them before?" Solari looked away. "Because no one feared them enough, until now." Reed stepped closer. "Solari, what are you not telling us?" There was a pause. Her voice was quiet. "These invaders, the Varnak, were once part of a peaceful alliance." "My alliance?" Reed's eyes narrowed. "You knew them?" "I once stood beside them," she admitted, "before they chose conquest." He stepped back. "Why didn't you tell us this earlier?" Solari's voice broke slightly. Because I was afraid. If I warned you too early, you might have thought I was the enemy. Reed clenched his fists. You played with lives, Solari. Millions are dead. I know, she whispered. And more will die if you don't listen now. She pulled a glowing cube from her robe. A hologram flickered into view maps, symbols, alien text, and one key thing, the core strategy of the Varnak fleet. They do not fight to conquer planets, Solari said. They fight to break spirits. They target hospitals, schools, water, supplies. They don't want prisoners. They want survivors who will tell others how terrifying they are. Reed stared at the horror playing out in the images. Terror warfare. Yes, Solari said. They want your people to beg to surrender. But with humans, that's a mistake. Reed nodded grimly. Because when humans see terror, we fight harder. Solari looked at him with strange sadness. That is what I feared. He turned to her, confused. You said you trusted us. I do, she said. But I also know what you're capable of when you are truly enraged. I've seen the ancient records. Your people destroyed a planet's ecosystem once just to stop a war. That was a long time ago, Reed said. She whispered, not long enough. Suddenly, an alarm screamed through the base. A fleet of Varnak ships had broken through Earth's orbital defense line. They were heading for a major human city, Sydney. Reed snapped into action. Get me the Australia command net. Now! As soldiers scrambled, Solari followed him. There's something more, she said quickly. The Varnak. They fear one thing. Reed paused. What? A human warship. One that vanished over a decade ago during a test mission. It had technology the Varnak had never seen. Planet Breaker class. Reed stared. You mean the Vanguard? Solari nodded. It was never destroyed. It was hidden. Where? He demanded. Solari opened the cube again. This time, a hidden star system appeared. They fear you'll find it, because it's the only thing that ever made them retreat. Reed didn't hesitate. Get my command ship ready. We're going to get the Vanguard. Asterisk, the stars stretched endlessly in every direction. General Reed sat in the command seat of the Resolute, Earth's fastest scout cruiser. Solari stood beside him, silent, her glowing cube floating above her hand like a compass. The journey to the hidden system took only 3 hours at warp speed, but the silence inside the ship felt heavier with each passing minute. Every crew member knew why they were here, to find the Vanguard, the last hope. Salar, I broke the silence. We are close. The ship hides behind a dark moon. Its stealth field is still active. How do you know all this? Reed asked. Her voice was calm. Because the Vanguard was a joint project, built not just by humans, but with the help of our alliance. I oversaw the energy matrix design. Reed stared at her. You were part of it. I was younger then. I believed in peace through power, she said softly. But now, I fear what power brings. Reed looked forward. Sometimes power is the only way to protect peace. As they entered the moon's shadow, the ship's sensors lit up. There, hidden beneath layers of magnetic dust and space debris, floated the Vanguard. It was enormous, 10 times the size of the Resolute, and blacker than the void itself. Gasps filled the control room. My God, whispered the pilot. It's real. The Vanguard powered up the moment they came near. Its systems had been asleep, waiting for a human signal. Solari's cube pulsed, syncing with the ancient codes. Slowly, a hangar door opened on the side of the ship. Reed stood. We're going aboard. Inside, the ship felt like a tomb. Dust floated in zero gravity, untouched for years. Lights blinked as systems woke. Screens displayed old Earth language. Vanguard class, status, sleep mode. Reed and Solari reached the bridge. It looked untouched: chairs, panels, maps, and one message flashing in red on the main screen. "If you're reading this, then war has returned." Reed tapped a button. A hologram flickered to life. It was Admiral Chase, the last commander of the Vanguard. "If this message is playing," the hologram said, "then Earth faces a threat we hoped would never come. The Vanguard carries weapons not meant for victory, but for warning. If you fire them, the enemy will retreat. But the galaxy will know what humans can do. Choose wisely." The message ended. Solari said nothing. Reed turned to her. "We bring it back." Solari hesitated. "And what happens when the other species see this monster wake up again?" "They'll think twice before joining the Varnak," Reed said. "And that's the point." The Vanguard systems came online slowly, reactor humming, weapons warming, engines charging. Just then, a proximity alert flashed. 3 Varnak scout ships had followed the Resolute. They opened fire. Reed reacted instantly. "Take control of Vanguard's main guns. Fire warning shots." But the ship didn't fire just a warning. With one pulse of its rail cannon, the first Varnak ship vanished. Nothing remained. Solari stared. "You see now why I was afraid." The other 2 enemy ships turned and fled. No return fire, no challenge. They vanished into warp. Reed lowered his hand. "They do fear us." The Vanguard's AI voice activated. "Orders, Commander?" Reed looked at Solari. "We return to Earth, full power. And this time, we bring a message." The return of the Vanguard was not quiet. As the giant warship entered Earth's orbit, it cast a dark shadow over the Pacific Ocean. Civilian eyes looked to the skies with both hope and fear. People whispered stories, some true, some imagined. The ancient ghost ship had returned, and it meant one thing. Humanity was done holding back. Inside Earth Command, the war room buzzed. Generals, advisors, scientists, and even journalists stared. At the live stream of the Vanguard, President Alina Carter arrived, her face tense. "General Reed, report." Reed stood in front of the massive digital screen showing the Vanguard systems. "We've secured the ship. Fully operational. The enemy fled after one shot. And what did we lose in return?" she asked. Solari stood beside Reed. "Hope," she said quietly. The room went silent. Reed frowned. "We gained a second chance." Solari shook her head. "You gained a weapon the galaxy will never forget." President Carter looked between them. "The people want to fight back. The colonies want revenge. Even our allies are calling for action. And they'll get it," Reed said. "But we do it our way." Solari turned to him. "What is your way?" Reed looked at the map of the galaxy. "We don't attack cities. We don't bomb civilians. We hit the Varnak where it matters, their command structure, their war factories, their pride." The president nodded, approved. "Begin planning." But even as Earth prepared for a precise strike, something else was happening in space. The Varnak were not retreating, they were regrouping. A new fleet, larger than before, gathered near a red dwarf system. Intercepted messages showed one thing: fear. The Varnak commanders feared that Earth would unleash more ships like the Vanguard. They knew now. They had pushed too far. Inside her private room, Solari sent a hidden message across the stars. To her people. "The humans have awakened the old power. They did not want this war, but now they will end it. If the Alliance still believes in peace, it must speak now." She stared out the window as Earth lit up below. Solari remembered the first time she had met humans: curious, brave, passionate. She had trusted them because of their mercy. But now, she had seen what they were when mercy ran out. She closed her eyes. That night, Earth launched the Vanguard. It jumped through space like a silent storm, its presence causing nearby ships to scramble in panic. Its destination, a hidden Varnak shipyard, producing warships for the invasion. They arrived without warning. The Varnak opened fire. The Vanguard did not speak. It erased. 1. Pulse 30 ships gone. Solari watched from the bridge, heart heavy. Reed gave the order. Hit only military targets, no civilians. The targeting officer confirmed. Locked in. Explosions lit up space. But even amid the destruction, Solari saw something different in the crew's eyes. Not joy, not rage. Regret. The battle ended. In minutes. The Vanguard stood alone in the debris. Reed spoke into the communication line. To the Varnak High Command, we did not start this war, but if you force us, we will end yours. He ended the call. The message was sent. The galaxy watched in silence. After the Varnak shipyard was destroyed, thousands of species across star systems saw the footage. Not just a victory, but a message. The Vanguard was awake again. The humans had brought back their darkest weapon, and it had taken only minutes to end a battle. On Earth, the people celebrated. Crowds filled the streets. Flags flew. Songs were sung. But in the halls of power, tension returned. In Earth Command, President Carter faced a new challenge. A sudden request from the United Galactic Council, the very alliance Solari had once helped lead. Their demand was clear. Earth must surrender the Vanguard to Alliance custody. The Council had watched humanity win. Now they feared what would happen next. Solari stood before the Earth leaders once more. They're afraid, she said gently. They don't want the war to grow worse. Reed crossed his arms. We just saved the galaxy from the Varnak's factories. They should thank us, not try to disarm us. President Carter frowned. But what if they're right? What if others see this power and copy it? Solari replied, that is why we ask you to lead not through fear, but through restraint. Reed stepped forward. The Varnak aren't gone. They're regrouping. And you want us to give up the only weapon that makes them think twice? Solari met his eyes. Yes. Silence. Later that night, Reed walked alone on the Vanguard's observation deck. Stars shimmered outside. Memories of lost soldiers burned. Cities and silent children filled his thoughts. Then came a soft voice. Solari, I never wanted this, she said. Neither did I, Reed replied. She moved closer. The Council believes that once Earth tasted this power again, it would never let go. And do you believe that? He asked. Salar, I paused. I believe in you, Marcus, but power changes people. And machines like this change history. He looked out the window. If we give it up and they return, what then? Solari said nothing. The next morning, the Council sent one more message. If Earth does not surrender the Vanguard within 48 hours, the Alliance will place sanctions and withdraw support. It was not a threat. It was a warning. President Carter called a private meeting with Reed and Solari. We're standing on the edge of something bigger than war, Carter said. We can win the fight, but can we win the peace? Reed's voice was hard. The Varnak only respects strength. Take the Vanguard away, and they'll test us again. Solari looked at both of them. Then offer the galaxy something stronger than fear. Reed raised an eyebrow. Like what? A promise, she said. Show them that humans don't need this ship to be powerful. That you will use it only if all else fails. President. Carter leaned back. A symbolic offer. Reed thought for a long time. Then, slowly, he nodded. 2 days later, Earth addressed the galaxy. Reed stood on the bridge of the Vanguard. A live broadcast reaching 100 worlds. We do not fear war, he said. But not for the reason you think. We fear what war turns us into, and we fear what it does to those who force our hand." He paused. "The Vanguard will remain with Earth, but it will not leave our system unless the Alliance calls on it. We will not lead with destruction, we will lead with protection. Not just of our people, but of yours." Solari watched from the shadows. The message was bold, but honest. Across the galaxy, reactions were mixed but powerful. Some cheered, some doubted, but all remembered the same thing. Humanity had power, and chose not to use it. The world was calm for a moment. After Earth's message to the galaxy, things had started to settle. Some Alliance members slowly returned. Trade reopened. Hope returned to the stars. But peace was short, because the Varnak weren't done. They didn't care about politics. They didn't care about messages, symbols, or promises. They cared about fear. And they wanted to prove that humans did fear something deeply. So they struck where it hurt the most. Not Earth. Luna Station, the peaceful moon colony, held families. Children, artists, scientists, a place known for peace, not war. Without warning, the Varnak appeared from a hidden warp path. No words, no threats. They simply opened fire. Within minutes, explosions lit up the moon's horizon. Communication went dead. Emergency signals echoed through space. General Marcus Reed saw the alert just as he sat for a meeting at Earth Command. The blood drained from his face. "They hit Luna," someone whispered. He stood up without a word. Solari ran into the room seconds later. They knew what they were doing. This wasn't military, it was personal. Reed's voice was like ice. "They want to show the galaxy that we can't protect even our own children." A junior officer stammered, "Sir, there are still survivors. Hidden in the mining tunnels. They're asking for help." Reed didn't blink. "We're going." President Carter's voice came through the intercom. "Marcus, listen. If you take the Vanguard off Earth, the Alliance will..." He cut her off. "Let them talk. I'm saving our people." Hours later, the Vanguard arrived near Luna. Reed's eyes scanned the destruction. Fire still burned on the moon's surface. Craters smoked. Debris floated in low gravity. He turned to his crew. "We're not here to destroy. We're here to..." "Get them out," Solari nodded. "I'll go with the rescue team." "You sure?" he asked. She smiled sadly. "They need to see not just power, but care." Drop ships launched from the Vanguard. They landed on the moon while the great warship hovered above like a silent guardian. Solari entered the dark tunnels with medics and soldiers. Survivors. Huddled together, injured, crying, frightened. Children clung to parents. Many were silent with shock. One little girl looked up at Solari and whispered, "Are you here to save us?" Solari knelt. "Yes, we are." Back on the Vanguard, Reed received a new message directly from the Varnak. A deep voice growled through the speakers. "You protect your weak. That is why you will always lose." Reed replied, cold and steady, "You mistook mercy for weakness. You made that mistake before. You'll regret doing it again." The Varnak voice laughed. "You won't fire. You're afraid the galaxy will judge you." Reed paused, then said, "No, but I'll show them what judgment really means." As the last survivors were brought aboard, Reed gave the order, "Track the Varnak strike fleet. Find their base near the Luna warp route. We're ending this." Solari returned to the bridge, covered in moon dust, holding the hand of a small boy. "He lost his family," she said. "He's all that's left." Reed looked at the boy. "He's why we're doing this." The Vanguard moved like a silent shadow across space. It reached the edge of the Varnak strike fleet's warp base. Their ship sat in formation, unprepared for an attack so soon. Reed turned to his crew. "Fire only on ships. No planetary targets. No civilians." Weapons charged. Lights glowed red. Then the Vanguard unleashed its fury. Beams of blue light tore through the enemy. Explosions rocked the fleet. Varnak ships scattered like insects. In seconds, the command ship tried to flee. Reed gave one final order. Disable it. Leave them alive. One pulse. The Varnak flagship drifted dead in space, but not destroyed. Solari watched from beside him. You held back. I didn't want revenge, Reed said. I wanted them to remember. The war was over. Not with treaties, not with surrender, but with silence. After the Vanguard shattered the Varnak fleet and left their leaders alive to see it, no more attacks came. No more threats. No more messages. The galaxy watched. For the first time in decades, even the most aggressive species hesitated. They had seen what humans could do and, more importantly, what they chose not to do. In the Earth Council chamber, President Carter stood before a crowd of millions, live-streamed to thousands of worlds. General Marcus Reed stood beside her, and Solari, calm and graceful, stood to his left. Today, the president said, we speak not as warriors, but as people who understand pain, loss, and mercy. She paused, then nodded to Reed. He stepped forward and looked into the camera. We didn't want this war. We didn't ask for blood. But when our people were attacked, when our children cried out, we answered. Not with hate, not with destruction, but with justice. Solari stepped beside him. Her voice was gentle. You feared the humans would bring fire to the stars, and yes, they can. But they also bring light, healing, strength that protects, not just punishes. Reed looked to the side screen, where footage played of Luna's survivors being rescued, children carried by soldiers, doctors helping wounded aliens, humans weeping beside non-human friends. War is not strength, Reed said. Kindness is. Restraint is. He raised a small data crystal. This contains the full schematics of the Vanguard. We will not build another. We offer this to the Alliance, not as a threat, but as proof we trust you. Solari gently placed her hand on the podium, and we hope you will trust us. Hours later, the galaxy answered. One by one, Alliance members sent back messages not of fear, but of understanding. Even the most cautious species voted not to place sanctions. One message came from a system once attacked by the Varnak. Let the humans lead the Defense Council. They have earned the right not by what they destroyed, but by what they chose to spare. The war had ended, but something else had begun. In orbit, the Vanguard was now silent, once more powered down, sealed and placed under Joint Earth Alliance watch. It would not fly again unless all agreed. It had become a symbol not of war, but of choice. Solari walked with Reed through a peaceful Earth park. Trees swaying gently in the breeze. Did we do the right thing? He asked. She smiled softly. You did what others wouldn't. You fought. Then you forgave. And now the galaxy knows what humanity truly fears. Reed raised an eyebrow. And what's that? She stopped and looked at the sky. That one day, you might lose what makes you human. Reed nodded slowly. Then we better never forget it. They sat in silence, watching children, human and alien, play in the grass nearby. The past had been dark, but the future? It was beginning to shine.